Learn how to use the built-in JSON parse method to turn a raw text string formatted as JSON into a native JavaScript object, making its data easily accessible. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at how we can use the JSON parse method to creating an object from a JSON string. Here's my boilerplate code. I actually don't have stuff to add into my HTML section, but I already have a demo that is needed. So let's just move straight into our script tag and look at an example. So we're going to make a variable, and that variable is just going to hold a JSON collections of employees, and then we are going to pass some data into it. And now we are now going to make use of that method in order to pass the particular objects that we're going to be listing as a variable. So let's make a simple variable and let's call it text. And inside this variable, so we're going to make an employee record. Employee. So for this particular employee, we're going to make an array in order to contain their data. And this way, I'm going to just add the information of the employee inside this. So let me make the first name, another step, and then finally, let me add one more. So I want to shift this to the front. So this way I have 3 employees, John, Anna, and Peter. But this part is no longer going to be needed because I already have it here. So if you look at what we have here, I'm looking at my screen, nothing is actually happening yet. So now let's move down and add another variable. And this time we are going to name our variable obj. So, and what is this variable going to do? Then this variable is going to hold the method through which we want to pass our initial variable that we have here. So I'm just going to call on that method JSON.pass like this. Then I will pass in whatever I want to pass inside it. So I just passed in the text variable that I want its contents to be passed with this particular method JSON.pass. And once I have that, then I can go ahead and do document.getElementById equals to obj, which is our variable here, dot employee an index position of 1. It's the first name of that employee, first name. And then I want to put a space. And then I want to obj.employee a position of 1 as well. Dot last name. So I want to get both the first name and the last name of the said employee. And if you look at what I have here, you can see that easily on the screen. I am getting a plain text, Hannah Smith. And if you look at what we have, the employee at the index position of 1 is Hannah Smith, which is correct because this is counted as 0, 1, and 2. Now, if I take this particular part out, what do you think is going to happen? Well, let's find out. So let's comment it out. And now you can see that the return response has disappeared. Let's now inspect to see if there's going to be any error. Now you can see on cost reference error, object is not defined. Now, if we decide to remove object from our final process, what do you think is going to happen? Let's find out. Now you can see employee is not defined, even though we have it here, but it's telling us here that our employee is not defined. That is because this does not understand how to pass what we have in our code. So you can see the importance of this method now, and immediately I return it, you can see it. And this method can then allow us to just test for anything. If I want an employee at the index position of 0, I just need to change the position, and then the name as well will change. You can see John Doe, which is correct. And if I want the employee at an index position of 2, so I'll just go ahead and say, okay, I want the employee information at an index position of 2. And you will see that the name that corresponds with what we have in this employee position is what is displayed on the screen. So what we basically did there is that this script creates a mock JSON string, which is what we have here, that contains an array of 3 employees, the first, second, and third employee. So it then passes this string into a standard JavaScript object, and finally it navigates into the parsed object, extracts the first and the last name of the second, first, and the initial employee, and then display them on the web page. So this is for the last employee. I've already demonstrated how you can change this index position to match the index position of the employees that we have here in our screen. So looking at what we have, so this part is what sets up a raw string variable that contains the structured that contain text structure perfectly in JSON format. So what we have here is a JSON format. You can see that this is really different from having a normal text string in JavaScript. You can see how it is wrapped in single quote, turning the entire block into a single text string. So this is a JSON structured format. And the const object equals to JSON.parseText that we have here is where the magic is happening, because the JSON.parse is a built-in method. So it's a function that will reach through the raw text string, which is what we have here initially. It analyzes the brackets and keys and translates it into a structured live JavaScript object assigned to our OBJ, as you can see here in our code. And once we have that, the object.employee2.firstname is the real object. And what is happening here is that this part is drilling into its layer using the standard brackets notation that you know with object. You can see the dot notation as well as the brackets notation. So the OBJ is the main object. So it receives whatever is passed from this JSON text and then hold it inside this OBJ. And so when we pass in the employee, so it enters, it asks the employee is what helps to access the array of data. And we are using the index position to target the position of any item that we want in that array. So the first name and the last name plugs out the value that corresponds to the first name and the last name of the employee. And having this alongside with document.getElement by ID combines the extracted first name and last name string and then inserts them into our where do we have our demo, the P elements, to display them cleanly to the user on our screen. So this is how you can just make use of the JSON built-in parse method in order to convert a JSON structured text into a normal readable text. So here are a few key takeaways from this lesson. Number 1, JSON is strictly a text format. It must be passed into a JavaScript object before you can extract data value from its property. So even if you need data value property from a JSON text, you first need to convert it into a JavaScript object before you can access the properties from it. Number 2, remember that array inside JSON data follows standard programming rules, meaning that 0 is the first item, 1 is the second item, and so on and so forth, depending on the number of items that is contained in your arrays.